So in this video, I'm going to go over how to clean your rifle, or how I clean my rifle. This is a pretty heated, not heated, but a very debated topic of discussion. You know, what is my method? Is my method better than yours? You know, what things affect accuracy, don't affect accuracy, affect performance, and all the things like that. What I can say is this is how I do it personally, and you just have to track what your cleaning regimen looks like and how you're doing it to see if you get different results. You know, if I clean every single shot, I may have X amount of results, but that's not practical for my use. I'm not cleaning every 20 shots, every 30 shots. Essentially what I do is I do my initial cleanings, and then I just perform maintenance cleanings as such. So the biggest thing that I look at when I do my cleaning is, you know, am I maintaining some sort of like commonality between what my barrel looks like as far as like how foul and dirty it is versus the performance I'm getting. I don't really need mine clean every 100 rounds, but I'm not going to try and stretch it to 800 and then potentially have an accuracy fall off. I clean it as needed for things that I have coming up, whether it be a match or some extended training and things like that. I'll clean it to make sure it's good prior to that. I'll then shoot it in, and then I'll shoot it for that event, and then I'll clean it afterwards. That way I know it's at a good set point. When I get all of my rifles, the first thing that I do is, you know, I push a dry patch or two through the barrel. There's a lot of different debates on what break-in process looks like and how I should clean. You know, 1 shot clean, 1 shot clean, 3 shot clean, and you know, all these things, 5 shots clean. What I do is I push a dry patch through it to ensure that I have any type of oil residue or tooling residue from the manufacturer out of that barrel. Almost every barrel has been fine, but that is just for my, you know, peace of mind, is I push all that stuff out and make sure that that is out of the barrel first. From there, I just shoot the rifle. If I have a day to where I just shoot, you know, 5, 10, 15, 20 shots on that initial break-in, then when I come back, I'll then clean it from that point. If I zero it and confirm zero and I shoot 60, 70, 80 rounds, then I'll clean it when I come back. What I've seen is good barrels are going to shoot, and good bullets and, you know, ammo combinations are going to shoot. When you have like high quality barrels, their tendency to shoot a broad range of, you know, bullet speeds and different types of loadings and things like that is going to be far better than what you will find in a factory barrel. A factory barrel may dislike this bullet loading combination, but as soon as I like push it down to this speed, it shoots lights out. Or it may really like this bullet combination and powder combination at this. So if you have a factory rifle, understand that, you know, that is where it's very important to shoot different factory ammos and different loadings and stuff like that through it. With a, you know, higher end barrel or even a custom barrel, you're going to be able to shoot a more broad range of factory ammo and hand loads and get acceptable results. Now, for sure, can I take, you know, this powder with this bullet at this seating depth and then get this performance and then make a small change or a big change, but like adjust that performance on hand loads to get it like to shoot tighter? Yeah, absolutely. You can do that with anything. But you have to look at what your use requirement is for that barrel and that rifle setup. If you're just trying to train with it pretty heavily, get something that shoots pretty good and it's pretty reliable, and then go off and shoot. Now, if it's a different gun where it's like high precision match and you're putting a lot of dependability on it, then I would go down a rabbit hole of, you know, trying to make sure that barrel shoots and really fine tune it. But regardless, this is barrel cleaning, so, you know, that's my opinion on barrels. And additionally is what you'll have is, just because it's a high name manufacturer, they could get bad lots, and they won't know if they have a bad lot until like the rifle was shot. So how you know if it's a bad lot of steel is, you know, is it very difficult to clean? Is it fouling a lot, or is accuracy just not there, the velocity just not there? You know, the barrel manufacturers have a lot of things that go into them, and they try to, you know, precision chambering, you know, good bore cuts, lapping the rifling, and just all these things. But it doesn't matter if the lot of steel that they have is bad. They can do all these steps and still have issues. A lot of those companies will, you know, offer a guarantee on their accuracy, so you can send it back in and figure that out. But, you know, again, this is not about barrels. This is more so about the cleaning. So what I'm going to cover is the cleaning of this AR here. This is my 6 arc. It's got a 16-inch proof barrel and it shoots just fine for me. Everything I put through it is between, you know, 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch up to 1 inch, and that's what I need out of this gun. I don't necessarily need it to shoot 1/2 inch all day long, and I don't want it to shoot over 1.5 inches, so it fits my needs and my requirements. But the steps that I take for cleaning this rifle barrel is what we're going to focus on, is the same for every other barrel, precision rifle barrel or bolt gun or whatever barrel you have. The steps and principles are the same. Just when you finish cleaning the barrel and some other steps for cleaning the bolt and the bolt carrier group and the star chamber and other aspects are going to obviously be slightly different than what you get on a bolt gun. So let's get into barrel cleaning and go over all the steps that I take. So I got the rifle disassembled here, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cover all the stuff that I have out here, and these are things that have just like worked for me. And again, this is principle based, so you don't have to have this exact product, but if you have like something that fulfills this need and like fits that requirement, then it should be fine. But the number one thing that I found when cleaning barrels, everybody hates doing it, but if you just have the proper stuff and you have it set up properly, it makes it a far easier of a task. So for example, on the side here, I have a 5-gallon bucket. I have a 5-gallon bucket that I can push all my dirty patches through and all my trash and carbon and all that stuff, and then I take that 5-gallon bucket and I dump it as soon as I'm done. Or just like a trash bag or something like that. But you want something on the end here to catch all your residue. And then going into like different tools that I have, so you're going to need a cleaning rod. This is a tipped-in cleaning rod, and they've been really good for me. I have a couple different lengths. You want to ensure that your length fits the barrel that you have. So this is, I'm pretty sure, a 42 inch. I think it's 42, but it's made for 22 plus inch barrels, and so I really like it for my ARs. And then I have one that's longer for longer rifles and longer barreled rifles, and it's easy on an AR because you can take the lower off and you can access it very easily. But say I should have my bolt gun completely set up, it may be running into the back of the buttstock. So make sure you have a cleaning rod that is going to fit your requirements. Chamber guide. So this is a universal chamber guide. I'm pretty sure this is made by Lyman. It has the ability to have this fatter knob here that fits into the upper receiver of the ARs, and it comes with an additional one that is made to help lock into bolt gun actions. The only thing I dislike it, well, you want it to where it's capturing all of this residue and not putting that down into your chamber. Ideally, this stays out into the barrel, the actual rifling and the bore, but then you're reducing how much stuff you get coming back into the chamber. Just bear in mind that you're going to have to clean that chamber up regardless, and I have some other items for that, but whenever you're completely done with the barrel, you just clean backwards and make sure there's no residue and things like that, because that oil and any other residue that you leave in the chamber, one, it's just bad. You don't want to have stuff in there, you just clean it, so this is clean it all the way. But if you have water and moisture and like liquids in there, it can change the pressure values that you may be seeing. So we want to make sure we get all that out, and a bore guide will help with that. But one thing I would change on this is, I'm pretty sure, aluminum, but it's not the same material as my cleaning rod, and what I get is a lot of scarring and marring on my cleaning rods. If I don't run this perfectly true, it catches on the edge here and it's the sharp edge, and it tears up my cleaning rod. So look to find something like a plastic or polymer or any other design for your bore guide to help with that. And you 100% can do this without a bore guide. The biggest thing when doing it without a bore guide, obviously you can have more stuff in your chamber, but when you're really brushing that or running that jag through there, you want to ensure you're not running that jag into key areas of the chamber, like up into the neck and where the shoulder and all the different parts of the chamber, because you can scar it up pretty easily. So a chamber guide will help you as you're sitting there brushing this thing out to ensure that you don't damage your chamber. You can see how on these jags and these brass fittings, like these are pretty good because it's rounded off, but some of them are sharp and you can really damage your chamber doing it that way. Since we're on here, I have the tipped in just a whole bunch of jags from 20 caliber up to 50 caliber, and this is a 6mm. These are some board brushes. These are the limiter board brushes by ISO, and what I look for is I don't like to have a brass board brush. for a couple reasons. One, they essentially, brass board brushes are usually one and done. As soon as I use it, the bristles are bent over in such a way to where it's not getting the same effect, and this synthetic bristle holds up a lot better. But also, if you're basing your patches being cleaned by, not having copper fouling, so like that blue tint to it, you can potentially get false positives by using a brass brush. So I always prefer to use a synthetic material, and these have been really good for me. This is made by IOSO, and they make really good stuff. So I have my cleaning, I got my chamber guide, I got my cleaning rod with my appropriate jag 6mm, 6mm brush. I have my cleaning solution. So this is Thorough Clean. It's made in conjunction with IOSO and Thorough Flush. This is a two-part system. You want to make sure that it's shook up and it's completely, joined together before you start, and just follow the instructions on your cleaner. There's many cleaners out there. Some are designed to reduce the carbon, some are designed to take the copper out and things like that. If I was to shoot a gun and it's shooting good and everything's fine, it's only got anywhere from like 20, 30, 40 rounds on it, and I'm going to go shoot like say a PRS match, a 2-day match that's got 200 rounds, and it's good, I'm good to go, I may just run a cleaner in there that's just helping to reduce the carbon and get most of that carbon out. That way I'm starting with a good barrel, and then when I go to a match, I'll shoot my 10 to 15, 20 for 0 in sighting days and make sure everything's tracking good, and then I'm good to go. I don't always necessarily take it all the way down, which this combination here will help take almost everything out of it. This barrel was cleaned I shot it to 120 rounds, and I cleaned it, and then I've shot it again. I think I'm at almost 400 rounds, and now I'm going to clean it again. So this barrel just gets shot, and now I'm going to take it all the way down and kind of reset, because I'm going to get into some load development. So I want to have a better baseline and know where my barrel's sitting at. So good cleaning products. There's all kind of products out there. Vortec makes great stuff. There's a bunch of companies that make good cleaning, and just follow the instructions on the cleaning. They have instructions and directions on the back. Just follow it as I say. So that's my cleaning. I have patches. These are Butch's triple twill patches, and I like to get my patches down to as close to the bore as possible, because if it's too loose, you're not getting the benefits of that tight fitting to push all that stuff out. And if it's too tight, you're back here banging on your cleaning rod with a hammer to try and push it through. Right? Trust me, I know it's a pain in the ass, and now you're dealing with a lot of issues with your patches alone. So I buy 22 to 270 cal. I'll buy like a 30 cal, and I'll just make sure that my patch fits properly in that bore. All right, so we covered all that. For ARs, and it can work for bolt guns too, but I have just a short 18-inch stiff rod. I can't remember exactly the brand of it, but what I'll do is when I'm really trying to clean up that chamber, I'll screw on like my board brush, and I'll wrap some patches around it, and I'll get in there and I'll spin that around to ensure that I pull all the cleaning residue and debris and stuff out of there that way. So that's what I use this for. For AR specifically, and they're just super handy, is a dental pick. A dental pick can really help you get into areas on a star chamber. You can put a patch in there and then put the dental pick in and move it around, which I'm going to do today. But also, if you just need to pick anything out, a dental pick is invaluable. We have different Q-tips here. So these are bamboo, which is Q-tips. So these are 22 cal, and I think these are like 45 cal. And again, it's just another good tool to get into tight spaces you can't fit. And I use these again to help clean the chamber out and make sure I have all that residue out. I have some TW25B. I'll put that onto my threads when I reattach my suppressor. You want to take your suppressor off, because you don't want to put shit into your suppressor that you're pushing out, and additionally, you potentially have patches get stuck in there. So always take your suppressor off. You're going to have to re-zero it, but you just clean it, so you probably want to re-zero it anyways. I have some AGL, some Go Juice, so I'm going to re-lube this rifle up, the bolt carrier group and everything, once I'm done cleaning it. And now getting into the next step of this. Traditionally, what I've done is I just base my cleaning off of the patch, what the patch tells me, if it comes out clean and things like that. But that is a variable that is kind of hard to determine, how long you let your cleaning solution soak and different things like that. So you know, it may come out clean, and then it may not totally be clean because you didn't let your solution soak long enough to pull the rest of that stuff off, depending how dirty your barrel is. So I have a Teflon bore scope. These used to be very expensive and unobtainium, and before the electronics came around, they're just like super dumb and not good to use. But nowadays you can find these things for anywhere from 100 to 250 bucks, and these things are invaluable. I use it to monitor, you know, my barrels after I clean them. If I have issues and things like that, allows you to check things like the gas port area, make sure you don't have excessive copper buildup and just things like that. But I use this to find out what my barrel looks like before I even start cleaning, to ensure that I'm getting the results I want. I can sit here and clean all day, but if I don't know what it looks like when I start it, and I don't know what it looks like when it's done, how am I to accurately gauge how clean that barrel is? So these things are really good. It allows you to check, you know, just other issues you have with them. So I recommend buying one, and I'm going to have that, and we're going to get through it. So the first thing we need to do is we have all of our products laid out. Paper towels again. Paper towels, just, you know, obviously you need to clean stuff up. We have everything laid out, and I'm going to get into just like step by step how I go through cleaning my gun. So like I said, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at it with the bore scope. It has different adapters here to fit different bore diameters, and it's got, you know, essentially a light projected onto a mirror. It allows you to turn to the side and take a look. If you take this off, you can look directly down. But I'm just going to insert that, and I'm going to look at what I'm seeing here. So what I like to do is I like to just kind of orient it so I know it's oriented up, and I'm looking at the chamber here. I'm looking at where the case neck meets into the chamber, so that's where people could potentially get the carbon ring. If you have, you know, carbon buildup in that area, it could potentially give you high velocities and other issues. And so I'm just looking at that. So I'm getting a gauge, I'm looking around, it doesn't look too bad. And then I'm getting into the throat, and as it enters into the rifling, and I'm just looking at different things for, you know, looking at potential fire cracking, looking at any type of carbon buildup, looking at any copper buildup. The carbon's going to be black or dark black, and the copper is going to be like that gold or light yellow. So I'm just going through, and there's a substantial amount of copper buildup after it leaves the kind of the throat. That's where you get most of the carbon. Then I'm starting to get copper all the way down. And then what I like to do on ARs is I'll orient it properly, and I'll go down and I'll look at what the gas port looks like. Because the gas port is notorious for peeling off copper and other residue, and if it's not cut clean, then, you know, you can have issues. I'll bring you guys in to see what I'm seeing, but I can see a decent amount of buildup on my gas port. And that could be because I'm shooting suppressed, a high performance round with adjustable gas block, just a lot of factors, but I'm going to clean that out. So guys, here is getting into the chamber. You can see here as I enter into the, you know, where the neck ends and starts getting into the rifling, all that dark stuff there, that's all carbon that's built up around there. That's where you would potentially get into a carbon ring if you have issues with it. And then as I get into the lands, all that dark stuff there, that is all, you know, carbon that's into that chamber, or sorry, into that bore. And then as you go down, any of that gold stuff that you start to see, that is all copper that's built up. So this gives me a good gauge on what my bore looks like. And, you know, now I know what I'm looking at initially before I start my cleaning. Yeah, you can see all that stuff in there. That is what I'm going to be looking to get out. So once I have a good gauge on what that looks like, I'm going to begin cleaning my barrel, and just insert my bore guide here, run this all the way up, and it's got, you know, it's just a way to get it oriented properly and set up properly. But what I like to do is got a port here, so I keep that facing up. So as I insert or apply cleaning solution to it, it's captured in the bore guide, and it's not just like going all over my floor. And again, it's very important to have paper towels around because you're constantly going to be kind of cleaning your fingers, especially on dirty old gas guns. So it needs to be pushed out with ThoroFlush first and get any of that loose debris out, and that's what I'm going to do now. So I'll pull a couple patches out, I'll put my appropriate size jag on, All right, center it up on your patch, push it in so it's on there properly. This has been shooken up real well, but you know, I'm just going to apply a decent amount, and again, some way to catch all the junk and dirt, so it's just catching on that paper towel. And now I insert, and I'm going to push that out. All right, good fit. It's, you know, you want it to have a nice firm fit as you push that out. And you know, I assess, okay, I got a decent amount of carbon out of there. And when I pull back out, I ensure that I'm not pulling it out in such a way to where this jag can catch on the crown of your barrel and damage it. So I make sure that I'm not just, you know, pushing that out without any type of protection. And based on how dirty that was, I'm going to go ahead and get another one of Thorough Flush and push that through. Again, it says douse liberally. These triple 12 patches absorb it really well, but we want to put a decent amount on there to get the effects we want. Alright, trying to push it straight. I brace it kind of with my hip, make sure I'm going as straight down the bore line as possible, and just insert it. These have a rotating knob to allow your cleaning rod to rotate with the rifling. So that was far cleaner, and at this point I'm going to go straight into the Thorough Flush. So now that I have that done, I'm going to change over to my brush. And again, these ISO brushes are really well designed. And this has again been shaken up properly, but I'm going to shake it up again. And what it recommends to do is it recommends to douse liberally and then push through 10 to 15 times and then flush it out. So this is a time when I'll put this on here. And there's different types of cleaners, like there's abrasive cleaners like ISO and things like that, and there's like other ones that are not. This is kind of more on the lines of the abrasives, but again, good super tight fit on there, so it ensures I'm getting good results. And this is where a bore guide is helpful, because as I pull this out, you can feel I don't have to take the time to recenter that brush without damaging my chamber. It's already guided in with that rubber fitting or silicone rubber material fitting. So I'll sit there and do this 10 to 15 times and ensure that I have all of, you know, scrubbing all that stuff up. Now there are different cleaners that allow you to just like let things soak, but when you do the brush technique, it drastically speeds up the performance. So obviously no one wants to clean their guns all day, let them soak all night and take hours and hours. They want to get done in a timely manner. This takes me usually about 25-30 minutes to do from top to bottom, so it doesn't take too long. And again, I'm not touching the rod. I'm allowing it to rotate with the rifling because it's such a tight fit, and you know, just working that back and forth. We'll do one more here. I lost count, but this one, paper towel's nice because then as I pull this out, I'm cleaning it on its way out, and I'm sure it's clean. Alright, so then now I'm going to go back through with the Thorough Flush and flush out any of that cleaning solution I just introduced into that chamber. And again, you could let this soak or sit or anything like that to really help with that process, but since I have a bore brush, I'm going to just, you know, brush and clean, brush and clean, brush and clean to get all that stuff out. So douse that up good, hit it with the Thorough Flush, and now there's a substantial amount of Thorough Clean, which is that paste type cleaner in the cleaning rod here, so I'm going to be picking that up as well. So what I'll do is I'll do this, you know, a couple times here. And again, you got to find out, you know, what is the best, you know, cleaning regimen to get the results that you want. If, you know, what I would argue as most like practical shooters or like, you know, just how we use the guns is I just need to keep it maintained and make sure it's good before like big events or big training things. But if I shoot the same 20, 40, 60 rounds, 80, 100 rounds, you know, I'll just put it up and I'll, shoot it again, and clean it as needed. But if it was like a hunting rifle or something like that, clean it before season, I would then, shoot it and zero it, make sure it's good, and then I wouldn't touch it. It's good to go. And then now that it's good to go, the only time I would mess with it is if I was in super adverse conditions and I was concerned about any type of rust or pitting or anything like that. I wouldn't touch it, but then if, say I was in the rain for a whole weekend hunting or something like that, I would push some like oil patches, like ram oil, just something simple. Push some patches through there and then push one dry patch through it to ensure that, any type of, you're pushing all that, that moisture and that water out. So decently clean, that was a clean patch. And what we're going to do now is we're going to look at it with bore scope and see what kind of results we get. So I looked at it with the bore scope, and it was substantially cleaner, obviously. But now I'm just going to, I want to give it some more love. So what I'm going to do is just go back through this process a couple times until I get it to the level that I want it to be at, and then we'll finish out the video once that's done. So I looked at it and I did 3 total iterations of that. So I did thorough flush, and then I scrubbed it with the thorough clean 10 to 15 times, and then flushed it out with thorough flush and took a look at it. I did that total of 3 times total. So, and the chamber is getting to where I want it to be. I could go in a couple more times and really take it down to bare steel, but this gun shoots fine. I didn't clean it on a accuracy issue. I cleaned it more so for a maintenance issue, and I'm just gonna shoot it just fine. So I'm done with my bore guide. I'm done with all my jags and stuff like that. So I'll just start kind of cleaning this stuff up. Gas guns are just super dirty. It's part of the way they're designed, but it's not a huge deal. Okay, so then now I've cleaned my rifle bore, and I want to clean up some other areas of the rifle. So something you want to look at, the end of your muzzle here on the crown. Make sure you don't have excessive carbon buildup around the crown. If you start getting a lot of carbon buildup in this area, you're going to want to clean that stuff up. This one looks pretty good, so I'm calling that good. And now I'm going to get into cleaning out the chamber. So these Q-tips come in handy because I'm trying to clean up any chamber residue that I have from the cleaning process. I want to get all that stuff out of my chamber. So I just push it in there and kind of spin it around and ensure that I'm pulling all that stuff out. You can see just slightly, a little bit of stuff on there is ended up being pretty clean. So that one's good to go. So now that that's done, if you have a bolt gun, I would then get the dental pick and some patches and get in there behind where the bolt lugs meet up with the rest of the action, and make sure I have all that cleaned out good. And then, put some grease. I like to have the Vortex. I've got some here. The Vortex Extreme Grease. I'll put that just on the lugs, not on the bolt face. But I'll put that on the lugs. I'll put a little bit of Vortex friction guide or glide on the bolt body, and then my bolt guns are done. But with ARs, there's a lot more pieces that we got to get in there and clean, and so that's what we're going to talk about now. So for ARs, like I said, what I found the best is just take a patch, place it into that star chamber, because that's where it's one of the hardest places to clean, and I'm just going to use this dental pick to move that patch around and pull out any carbon buildup that I have around that star chamber. It's just, the way the rifles are designed, inherently hard to clean. But so what I'm doing now is I'm just cleaning up any of that stuff in there, and making sure I have as much stuff out of there as possible. And like I said, the dental picks make it a lot easier to kind of get into the spaces you want. You're just using that tip of that dental pick to then move that around and clean that. And when I clean my ARs, I like to clean my uppers first, and then I get into the bolt carrier group, and then I'll get into any lower maintenance I need to do. Alright, so that's clean. Call it good. I usually just take this along the sides of the upper receiver and just kind of clean that out. Put a little bit of lube on there to ensure I do this. But the best time to do this is as soon as you shoot the gun. It's not always an option, just based on where people's ranges are, proximity to where they live. But when all that stuff is like warm and it's not hardened up at all, that's the best time to clean this. But I'll just kind of clean around. You can see how freaking dirty that is, but I'll just kind of clean around a little bit and ensure I have that as clean as possible, and then I'm going to call that good. Alright, so then now getting into the bolt carrier group. My method on it is, again, if it needs to be cleaned super deep, do so, but this is one thing that you just should keep lubed, and so it should be pretty easy to clean. So I remove the firing pin, retaining pin, remove the firing pin, and that thing is just straight black, but I'm not as concerned because it's been lubed properly, so it's going to come right off. Remove the cam pin. And this is where having a dental pick can be nice, because the way it wants to orient, it doesn't want to come out properly. There we go. Got that out. Now remove the bolt, and now I'm going to begin that process. Super dirty. At this point, if you have nitrile gloves, you can put them on. It just helps, your fingers are going to be kind of stained with carbon and residue and stuff later on, but that's alright. Alright, so I'm cleaning this up. Some areas of focus I want to look at is, cleaning behind the gas rings here. This is a substantial amount of carbon built up right here at this kind of portion, and that dental pick just cleans it right off. 2 little swipes and it's good to go. You could also take out the extractor pin and take the extractor out and clean all that. I'm not going to get into it because this thing is not that dirty, it doesn't necessarily need it. I'll just take a Q-tip on the bolt face here, kind of move that around, clean that up. Bucket's nice, you can just toss it. Take my dental pick, get underneath of the extractor here, and just kind of make sure that there's no carbon built up so I get good extraction. And then, now that I'm doing also my maintenance and observing anything I see. So I'm looking at my gas rings. My gas rings look good. Looking at my actual bolt face, what I've seen on these 6 arcs is, they're very high performing cartridge for a AR-15. So I want to ensure I'm not getting any type of mushroom effects or deformations on the back of those bolt lugs. They're all good. What I'm going to do is just take a Q-tip and just kind of like go through every bolt lug here, just kind of push out some of that carbon buildup, ensure that it's as clean as possible. And so then now my bolt is good. Firing pin, it's like super black, but like I said, if you keep it lubed properly, it just comes right off. And something you want to look at on your firing pins is this section right here of the firing pin can potentially get carbon buildup, and then if it's bad enough, it's not going to let that firing pin come forward all the way, and you can run into issues with like light strikes and stuff. But again, if you just keep them glued properly, it helps reduce all that. So that one's good to go. And again, I'm just kind of wiping everything off. Wipe the cam pin down. Observe the cam pin. Make sure there's no like extreme deformations or any type of scarring or galling on it. It looks good. And then my bolt. So I'll just wipe the outside of the bolt off. That way it just makes it a little bit cleaner to deal with. Kind of just wipe up the inside here. And these gas guns, more specifically 6 arc, and kind of depending on what powders you use, can be very, very dirty. So that's good. And then what I do is I take like something like that 45, that little thicker diameter, and I'm cleaning around the inside of where the bolt meets the bolt carrier group, and I'm just going in here and spinning and pulling as I come out, and you can see that that is just straight black. Alright, cleaning the front of the bolt carrier group. That was pretty bad, so sorry I'm sniffling, but do that again, and I'm just kind of like, wallering around, cleaning it up. Clean up here where the cam pin is. make sure there's no excessive carbon buildup there. Clean up back here some, and just ensure that that is clean. Okay, so I've said it a couple times already, but if you keep them lubed up, it makes the cleaning easier. It may just be dirty, but it's not like super hard carbon buildup. But one spot you want to look at on your bolt carrier group is kind of where that that bolt meets down into it. So where this section here goes down and meets into the actual bolt carrier on that portion, that is notorious for getting carbon buildup on. So that little angled portion of the dental pick is really good for just getting in there and scraping all that out. And you can just, I can see, you know, carbon just straight falling out as I scrape that. It's not too bad. If you had a light, you know, put a light down in there and kind of see what you're dealing with. It's not too bad. So break that up, go back in here with a Q-tip, get any excess or loose carbon out of it. And again, you can clean back here. That's where your firing pin stops. You want to keep that clean so you don't potentially short stroke or light strike any type of primers by having that too dirty. Alright, so the bolt carrier group is completely clean. I'll wipe this down. And again, not looking to like deep clean this thing because after a couple shocks it's just right back to being super dirty, so that's maintenance. But by keeping it lubed properly, it makes it super simple. Like, it's not white, you know, white glove clean, but there's no hard carbon deposits or anything that's going to affect this thing. So I reassemble it, and when I reassemble it, I'll show you kind of where I lube it up at. I lube up right here where the gas rings are, just a touch. Make sure that's all lubed up properly, and I insert it. A good test to find out if your, you know, bolt carrier group has got good gas rings is it should be able to set on the bolt with the weight of the bolt carrier and not fall forward. So if it just falls freely, then you probably don't have very good connection with your gas rings, and it may be something to replace. So now, as I'm looking down, would be the rifle, so this way for you guys, but my extractor's on the outside, and I just go into my reassembly process. Put my cam pin in, pull that forward, orient that properly, insert my firing pin, ensure that's seated all the way forward, my bolt's fully extended, put in my firing pin retaining pin, and now it's reassembled. Now as far as lubing, I drop a couple drops here where the cam pin is with the bolt forward. I push it back, drop a couple more in, that's good. And then also these ports on the side here, I put some in there to ensure that, you know, I'm getting good lube down in there, and then I put some here, and then that's it for that's all I do for lubing my guns. I don't run them dry, I run them wet. A dirty wet gun will run very well. So if you're having issues, clean your bolt carrier group, lube it up, and it should negate everything. Now I'm going to move on to the lower. So that's completely done. I'm not going to reassemble this because, you know, rules on YouTube. But so then I look at my lower, and what I'm doing is I'm looking down here into the trigger mechanism and ensuring that there's no like excessive carbon buildup, fouling, or anything like that. I don't see anything like that. This one's pretty clean. It takes a couple thousand rounds for it to really become a problem. So if you just kind of maintenance it, it's good. I'll just kind of wipe that off. And I'm going to put 2 drops on, this is, you know, just a standard LaRue trigger, but I'll put 1 drop on this spring. Oh shit, I got it closed. Hold on now. Alright. Put a drop there, put a drop there, and then that's all I do. Again, just make sure that's lubed up properly. Doesn't fire. Fire's good. Okay. So then that's done. So those are my steps for cleaning a gun. Just want to reiterate a couple things is, you know, if you're cleaning because of accuracy issues, you may want to take it down further, but if you're cleaning for maintenance, you can just kind of stay on top of it. And whatever is consistent for your cleaning regimen to get you the results you want, like that's what you do. For me, like I said, is I'll clean before I shoot extended rounds. So before, like, you know, if I'm going to go shoot 200, 300, 400 rounds, I'll clean it before, and then I'll shoot it, and I'll just clean it after. Or if I have a match coming up, I'll shoot it, or clean it before the match, shoot it, zero it, make sure it's good, and then I'll shoot the match and I'll clean it after. If you need to, you can put like little tags on the rifle, depending on how many rifles you have or how many you shoot, of cleaned at this date. And so you know that, okay, I haven't shot this rifle in 6 months. I go to grab it, I can say it was clean and it's good to go. Or you can take notes on your phone and things like that. So I'll put a note on my phone that this was cleaned at 400 rounds. And you know, I probably won't touch this thing for another couple hundred rounds at least. So that's everything that I have to go over for cleaning a rifle. And thanks for being a part of this.